Earlier today, we received the news that Divin, Mubama and Ben Johnson are departing West Ham United when their contracts expire, which is today. Both players have been at the club for a significant period of time and have worked their way up through the youth system and have made themselves a small part in some cases, and a rather predominant part in Ben Johnson's case in the first team set up in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. Ben Johnson has put out a statement, a message to West Ham fans on the West Ham website. I'm going to read that out to you now because he has spent 17 years of his life at West Ham United. He is a Hammer and he does depart reluctantly, of course, but this is what he said to West Ham fans, and it reads: "Hello everyone, thank you to everyone associated with West Ham United for supporting me over the last 17 years and developing me into a first team player. I've been blessed to have come through the Academy of Football and to play for the first team in the Premier League, domestic cups and in European competitions. I just want to be known and remembered for my time at West Ham, for having played with a smile on my face and having really enjoyed my football. That's really important to me. I would say the most special memory I have is winning the Conference League. To be involved in a European trophy win doesn't come around frequently, so to be around and be part of it and to be able to achieve that with West Ham was incredible. My dreams were exceeded by what happened 2 seasons ago, and I'm just so pleased I did it as a West Ham player. I'll never forget that night. I wish West Ham every success for the upcoming season under the new head coach, and of course I'm going to miss all my teammates and the staff along with the supporters. West Ham will always be a part of my life, which I'll remember with fondness and a lot of love. I've developed into a young man and better player because of West Ham, so finally a huge thank you to the club. See you all soon. Jono." I thought that was really eloquently put, actually, and I think it epitomises the maturity and just down to earth nature that I sort of captured and insinuated from Ben Johnson. Look, I've been one of Ben Johnson's biggest fans, actually. He's had a lot of critics out there, not good enough and all the rest of it. And yes, I stood inside the Amex a couple of years ago where he had an absolute nightmare against Brighton, where we were defeated 4-0, and it was a sad and pretty depressing day for the football club. And Ben Johnson was at fault quite significantly that day, and it was just a really bad day at the office for him. And whenever I think of Ben Johnson, whenever I think of negativity, I think to that day, because he was completely outclassed, outthought, just outplayed by Mitoma and the rest of the Brighton attacking line that day. And look, putting that to the side, he's had some pretty decent times for West Ham. He's been shipped around like left back, right back, midfield, up on the right wing. He played central attacking midfield at some point as well. He's been here, there and everywhere, and he's never really had the opportunity to settle in one position and gain form and sort of show himself effectively, in my opinion. That is, look, I think we all established that potentially, maybe, definitely, I don't know, depending on your viewpoint, that he wasn't good enough to be our starting fullback at either left back or right back because of his defensive fragilities, I suppose you could say at times, wasn't always as secure as we would have perhaps liked our first choice fullback to be. So Moyes, pretty unlike him, but came up with a sort of solution, came up with an alternative, and that was to put him in midfield. Again, I was stood in the terraces, in the stand at Bramall Lane the day that experiment actually came into fruition, where Ben Johnson was played in midfield, and we all looked at it and went, wow, he's starting at right back and we're mixing it around properly here. But no, he started in midfield, and do you know what? He didn't. He came on in midfield, sorry, that is wrong. He came on with 20 minutes to go. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He played in midfield. He gave us a bit of energy that we were lacking against one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen in my pretty short life, albeit. But nevertheless, they've been awful, haven't they? And we've just signed up their keeper. But anyway, he was really good. He brought energy. He brought some electrifying skill to the midfield as well. And a couple of chants were coming out of the stadium that day, like, we've got Ben Johnson, who needs Declan Rice and all that. And that was mildly amusing. And he was playing with what he said in his message there, a smile on his face. And I'll always sort of remember Ben Johnson. He always played no matter what with a smile on his face. He always seemed to be a bubbly and an excited character, and genuinely sort of thankful and appreciative of the position that he found himself in. So anyway, he was played in midfield for that half an hour, maybe one more game, and then never played there again. He never went there again with Ben Johnson, and that just sums up his sort of stop-start last 18 months for West Ham. He wants first team football. He wants to be playing. He's in that position now where he needs to be playing that for his own career's sake, because he can do. But unfortunately, we've deemed and we have said and we have shown that we can't provide that to Ben Johnson. So therefore, he's moving on, and it looks, according to reports, that he'll join Ipswich, which is a decent move. He hasn't got to move a hell of a long way. Ipswich isn't a million miles away, is it? It's a good hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's not other end of the country. So for that, it works for him, and he's probably going to get first team football. That's the ideal move, and I think that makes sense for the player itself. But it still leaves me with a little bit of about maybe we could have put him into a position where he could have been playing week in, week out, because I think the quality is there. He just hasn't had the opportunity to show it on a vast scale. I think there's an opportunity lost there with him a little bit. And Divin Mubama at the same time was announced as leaving the club. I didn't realise he made 18 appearances for the first team, albeit some and most of them came from the subs bench for like 30 seconds here and there towards the end of David Moyes' tenure, or that period where he was the in thing. It was Divin Mubama. He's amazing. He's brilliant. And again, didn't quite set the world alight, and we all could see he wasn't quite good enough to be playing for West Ham. So I'm not too fussed about Mubama. A decent young talent, but he didn't make the step up when given the opportunity to the first team, and that was blatantly obvious. So I understand why he has been let go. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. And look, there's been reports that we gave Ben Johnson a pretty good contract, but he said that he wanted to go elsewhere. It depends what outlet and report you read in those senses, and I think that sort of regards both of them actually. Mubama as well, seems like he was given a pretty decent contract offer, but chose against it. And look, it is what it is at the end of the day. I don't think any of us are going to lose any sleep over it, but it loses us some homegrown players in that quota, which I think we put Wes Fotheringham in for, not solely, but predominantly. That was the appetising element of that transfer, and we're losing homegrown players, so that needs to be restored. We need to reach that quota, otherwise we get consequences, I'm sure. I don't know what they are, but yeah, we need to ensure that we have that amount of players in our squad, because we are letting them go pretty swiftly. So that, of course, needs to be taken into consideration as we enter a busy period of hopefully us signing plenty of players, because we're letting quite a few go. Saïd Benrahma is the player that I'll talk about on another show, but another one that's departed the club today as well. So we are letting quite a lot of players go. Of course, he was out on loan, Benrahma, but we need to replace them. And I don't think we replaced Benrahma at the end of last season. So again, effectively as a player, we have to replace. We need to bring players in, and we keep letting them go. Hopefully we're going to start bringing them in. But that's it from me. Put your thoughts on Ben Johnson and Divin Mubama. Would you have keeping any of them, none of them, one of them at the club? Put that in the comment section down below. That is my view. If you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it and subscribe to West Ham Official if you're new. Until the next one, come on you irons, and I'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Bye bye.